BMAC is the longest running domino event in the world. They're on their 15th consecutive year hosting this event, and together we set up 26,000 dominoes. So this past weekend, I traveled to Vermont for the 15th Annual Domino Toppling Extravaganza at the Brattleboro Museum and Arts Center, and this was such a fun event. Now, I've been going to this event since BMAC 7. This is my 9th year at this event, and I just want to say it is always such a joy to be able to set up dominoes and build with other friends and pretty much make whatever we want. That's something that really makes this event, I think, stand out, because with this event, we really don't plan much at all. The only thing that we planned is a couple of field designs. Actually, not even a couple. I planned one field, the Buzz Lightyear field, and everything else in here was freestyle. This is just a blank canvas for us to go in and let our creativity run wild and see what we can do with so many dominoes. And it's always like mentally stimulating for me to figure out, what am I going to build? How are we going to connect it all together? How is it going to work with other people who I'm building with? And is it going to work? Because we only had 2.5 days to build, we couldn't really think through projects in depth. And I actually think that's kind of good in a way, because that helped us from not overthinking. Like, I can get into this habit where I'm overthinking tricks and the colors and how I'm going to arrange things, and it like bogs me down so much that I end up not building anything, or it takes me so long to get started. But because we knew in advance we only have 2.5 days to build, it kind of pushes us and motivates us and kind of just see where it takes us without having to overthink it. So for this year's event, I am joined by my friends Nathan from Mar Dominoes, Chris from Right Reactions, and Brady from BP Doles. And we spent 2.5 days building up dominoes. The first day is usually spent building a lot of the big structures and just getting acclimated to the space and starting some big ideas. I decided to make a giant finale structure that says 15 for the 15th year of BMAC. And I was kind of inspired by World Domino Collective. Like, they made a huge 10-year anniversary what's called a ghetto wall, which is basically a double thick wall spelling out words, and I was like, I kind of want to do this in a structure and spell out 15, because I feel like that'd be a very big spectacle. Like, that would have a really strong way to finish the whole project, and it uses a lot of dominoes, particularly all the brown, tan, and natural shades, so we needed to use those up, and it didn't really fit with the rest of the setup, so I kind of just combined all of them into one, and then added some green dominoes on the top to showcase the 15 a little bit more boldly. And Chris actually pointed out that this kind of looks like a Minecraft block, which I didn't even realize until he pointed it out. But yeah, that's just kind of like a funny little detail that kind of accidentally played out. On the other hand, we had this Buzz Lightyear field that Nathan built. I'm really happy with how this design came out. I planned it ahead of time before the event, and I realized I wouldn't have enough detail to make the buttons in actual dominoes, so I decided to print them out, and then Nathan cut them out and placed them on top of the Buzz Lightyear field, so it really adds to the detail, and I think it really makes it look more realistic in a way than having it in a pixel version. So yeah, Nathan did a great job with carrying that out. He also made this super cool section with these ball pit balls. He literally bought over 100 ball pit balls and used them in the setup with the dominoes, so the dominoes can hit the ball and then spread out and hit even more lines, which kind of branches off to make a really cool effect. Brilliantly, he figured out that these balls could go inside a tower. So he built this circular tower. It's such a cool effect because you can see in the windows of the tower, the colors of the balls kind of peeking through the tower, and when they fall over, it makes a really cool effect, and the balls kind of just spread out everywhere, as well as having balls just fall off ramps on the side and roll out. It's a really cool way to start it, and for this event, we try to make it really fun. We know a lot of kids come, so that's why we have really bright colors, we have some cartoon characters that people will recognize, fun objects like the ball pit balls, and various other things. Chris even had this awesome idea to make this Spongebob theme section, which he designed the Spongebob field on the spot at the event, and On top of that, figure out a way to make a bubble machine work in the chain reaction. So the idea is that Spongebob will fall over and he's holding this like bubble wand that when it falls over, it'll hit the bubble machine and actually blow bubbles, which is so cool. I love this event and how we can incorporate different types of objects and really just like let our creative freedom run wild. It's really fun. Brady came and this was actually his first year at the event and he absolutely killed it. He worked on this amazing autumn themed section with fall colors and a super cool waterfall that flows down a river. I just really love like the details and the designs. Like it might not be an overall giant section, but the little details that he places, like the dominoes on top of the fall wall or the dominoes that are stacked in the river, even like adding little bits to the speed wall, like having the wooden plank kind of just like come out from it. It's not something that I would like even think about doing, but these little embellishes make it so interesting, and I feel like they add a lot to the setup and make it more like an organic piece of art. You know, although we're working kind of in our own different sections in the beginning, towards the end we do kind of like mold together. And it's also, I gotta say, really risky in this event because we're not really like testing anything. Like we do have a little bit of testing, but it's not like we've planned out the setup in advance that it would require so many tests. So we're just like kind of using our intuition with what we know works with dominoes to make sure that this setup is going to be reliable. Like we're not gonna, of course, make something that is like super risky that it's not gonna work because it is a live event. We do want it to actually go to the end without stopping. But there is a lot of risk, and I think the density of the project as well adds to that risk because things are so close together. There's always a risk that something could knock out and hit something else. But that's kind of the joy of the BMAC Domino Topples. It's like one of the largest freestyle, like fully freestyle domino events, and I think that risk in itself makes it really exciting and unpredictable. After I finished the structure, I was really keen on making some sort of spiral, and the idea for this was to have it start in the middle and slowly go from one line all the way to splitting into 2 lines, then 3 lines, and 4 lines. So it slowly like increases in the intensity, and also it shifts in color from the lavender to the purple to the blue to the dark blue, and it makes this cool kind of like space design. I was kind of inspired by the previous Space and Dominoes video that I did and used some small to large sets at the very end to kind of finish off the spiral. And I thought it'd be cool to see, like, it's kind of like a race to see which line is going to topple first, because the inner rings of a spiral always tend to finish first because there aren't as many dominoes in it compared to the outer rings. I guess we'll have to find out at the fall down to see which one wins. I also really like how the floor is so long. Me and the other builders were kind of talking about this. The long floor space is sort of like, in one way, a creative constraint, but the only thing that we have to work with. Because it's such a long room, the flow of watching the dominoes topple feels a little bit different. It's sort of like you're walking through with the setup and not standing in one spot watching it. So it feels a little more dynamic, and it allows you to see each individual project more up close as the camera's like walking through the setup. The whole project went pretty well for the most part. I will admit, I think we were kind of behind throughout most of the event, but we managed to pull it off pretty well. Day 3 especially, we absolutely like covered so much ground and filled the entire space within the last couple of hours. It always gets kind of, you know, more intense towards the 3rd day because, you know, there's a time crunch. It has to be toppled at a certain time. I don't know how we do it, but we always seem to figure it out in the end, even if we do feel like we are behind. But the final setup came out so good. I am really, really happy with how it came out this year. I think the team just like came with such good ideas, and we pulled off a really unique setup this year. The pressure really starts when the crowd comes in. So the crowd slowly walks in, they find their place to watch the whole domino topple. And keep in mind, they're literally sitting 1 foot away from the dominoes. It's actually a little scary how close they are, but luckily we've never had a premature topple because of the crowd. I gotta say, the fall down was absolutely spectacular. I'm gonna save how it went till the fall down video, which will be up next Saturday on Hevish 5 5 at 10 a.m. Eastern time, but I will say it was really, really good. You don't want to miss this fall down. If it's already up, you can click the link in the top right corner to watch it, and I want to thank everyone who came to the event. We literally had people from Seattle, Washington who flew in just to see the dominoes fall and meet the team. One kid even said he's been waiting 10 years to see this event live. Thank you all for being there. I feel like this event is really where the domino community comes to life. Thank you so much to the BMAC staff for having us and helping out. Thank you to all the builders. Their links are in the description. And I also want to give a shout out to our featured community member, Just Domino. Keep up all the awesome work in your domino videos. Really great stuff. And as always, I'm Lily Hevish, and keep on building.